They really think Americans are that stupid? Yeah. Kamala's high crimes at the border.
Fox News host Laura Ingraham doing what she does best and lying on national television, this time about the border. Let's take a look and talk about it. Stick around to the end of the video to see Laura's crazy claim about immigrants voting. Please like and subscribe to help my channel grow. Thank you.
In response to a congressional request for information, ICE revealed that more than 13,000 illegal aliens convicted of murder are now in the United States. Oh, and they're not in custody. More than 1,800 have been accused of murder as well. Nearly 16,000 have been convicted of sexual assault.
According to the email sent to Representative Gonzalez by the Deputy Director of ICE, which is used in reference to this graph, Fox News and Laura are being disingenuous about multiple things. First, this number does not represent criminal offenders roaming the country. It represents the number of non-citizens with criminal histories on ICE's national docket list whom have been encountered. In fact, in the exact same letter, ICE says the majority of all individuals encountered at the border over the past 3 years have been removed, returned, or expelled. These numbers are pulled directly from those locked up or already sent back. I'm assuming criminals roaming the country means were roaming the country and have since been removed. While ICE data is hard to find, in 2017 during Trump's presidency, similar numbers were recorded of arrests with criminal charges and convictions.
But the Harris campaign is out with a new ad celebrating her border cred.
Kamala Harris has never backed down from a challenge. She put cartel members and drug traffickers behind bars. And she will secure our border.
Yes, someone got paid huge money to produce that ad.
People get paid huge amounts of money to produce almost every ad.
They really think Americans are that stupid? Yeah, that's what they think. Now, her role as California's AG mostly involves state-level crimes, not big cartel cases. And News Nation notes that her claims about jailing gang members for cross-border smuggling also seems inflated, because her cases mostly involve local drug offenses, not international smuggling operations.
You said it, Laura. Kamala Harris was the AG for California. Of course her cases mostly involved local offenses. I'm sure she has also had several cross-border cases considering California borders Mexico. The truth is, she has much more experience than Trump does within government.
And in the Tucson sector where she's speaking today, under Harris and Biden, Customs Border Protection logged 1.2 million, as they call them, encounters since they took office. Now, during Trump's 4 years in office, almost 1 million fewer came in, or 246,000.
It's true that many more border encounters are happening under Biden than Trump. Border encounters include legal and illegal encounters.
Now, this has already devastated cities and towns across America, and there's no other conclusion to draw except that Biden and Harris and Mayorkas conspired to intentionally subvert America's sovereignty and the rule of law.
Biden has deployed the most agents and officers ever, adding 40 drug detection machines at crossing, implemented new rules making it harder for migrants who cross the border illegally to claim asylum, and increased immigrant removals.
Look, they believe borders are immoral, unless they're Ukraine's. They want an unending torrent of cheap labor flooding into the United States, and this is key, they want to change the electorate.
From May 2023 to May 2024, the Biden administration removed or returned 775,000 illegal immigrants from the United States, more than any year since 2010. The topic of non-citizens voting has become a talking point often used in political discourse. However, there is a lack of evidence supporting these claims. Federal law bars non-citizens from voting, and the rare instances where they have been found to do so has not had an impact on election outcomes.
If this isn't impeachable conduct, I don't know what is. And I said this years ago, by the way. How is this not a high crime? High crimes and misdemeanors?
Multiple Republicans argue for impeachment based on failure to enforce immigration laws. A lot of their claims seem politically motivated.
Americans are dying because of these policies.
Drug overdoses have increased under Biden, but they have been doing so since before he took office. As of 2024, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced a 3% decrease in drug overdose deaths.
And remember back in 2019, Democrats impeached Donald Trump based on what he said on a phone call with Zelensky. Now, Democrats spent countless man-hours, untold amounts of taxpayer money on a sham proceeding meant to hobble his presidency and affect the campaign. And the catalyst, let's not forget, were Ukrainian apologists working in the White House.
Trump was impeached twice, once for trying to convince Ukrainian leaders to provide evidence that Joe Biden's son was doing something illegal, and once for his rhetoric on January 6th.
Joe and Kamala fling open our borders to millions of foreigners. They fast-track them into our communities. They destroy local cultures. They strain already strained budgets.
Trump and Biden have different policies regarding the border and immigration. Biden's policies have led to more immigrants coming into the country. Some argue it's good and some argue it's bad.
And all along, we find out they've tried to hide the truth about the criminals that they allowed to walk right in and brutalize us.
It's important to note that immigrants are less likely to commit serious crimes and have a significantly lower crime rate than native-born citizens.
The horrors that my daughter suffered, and it's because of these open borders.
They are nothing but monsters who are predators, and those are the kind of individuals that we so openly let in this country. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and every Democrat who supports these open border policies are complicit in the deaths of 300,000 innocent Americans, including my son, Weston.
The Biden administration deserves some criticism over it. However, these things happen every year and have happened over every single presidency.
Now, it took ICE, by the way, about 6 months to get back to Congressman Gonzalez when he requested this information. But Harris has been so intent on keeping this out of the news that she won't even speak to her own administration's border chief. And she didn't speak to the last Border Patrol chief either.
I've never had one conversation with the president or the vice president for that matter. And so I was the chief of the Border Patrol. I commanded 21,000 people. That's a problem.
There's no way around it. It is a problem. Why isn't the Biden administration taking border policy more seriously? I don't think it's necessarily up to Kamala, but Biden has definitely failed a little bit regarding the border.
And her actions over the past 3.5 years, that's all we need to know about her belief in our system and our sovereignty.
It's ridiculous to blame Kamala for Biden's faults. Trump also made many mistakes during his presidency, but you will never catch Laura admitting to that.
If stopping fentanyl at the border was a priority, other nations would have been put on notice by Kamala Harris. Mexico would have been warned of dire trade consequences as they were under Trump.
The truth is, you get more stuff done when you have a good relationship with people. Biden has brought us back into relationships with other countries to solve difficult situations such as fentanyl, among other things. Cutting up relationships with other countries does nothing to help things.
If they really cared about children that they now use as pawns, they would have kept Remain in Mexico in place. On day one, Joe and Kamala dismantled every effective Trump border policy that was in place.
The USA is a beacon of light for people all around the world who need to escape dangerous countries. The vast majority of them come to America, work hard, and their children are exactly like other American children. That's why they dismantled Trump's anti-American policies.
The idiotic so-called bipartisan border bill that Jim Langford and company tried to ram through, that died in the Senate, and Harris loves to cite this. It was such a farce that its only sponsors released it on, 48 hours notice. It was 370 pages long, by the way. Right before the vote, they finally released the text. And all you need to know about that legislation, again, that Kamala Harris will cite, is it gave CBP a paltry $7 billion in additional funding. Ukraine got $60 billion in the so-called border bill.
The bill did not have anything for Ukraine attached to it. It is true, however, that the bill was released 48 hours before it was to be voted on, which didn't give everyone enough time to read and understand the bill.
Donald Trump is appealing to the pragmatic core of American voters.
Trump is the king of unpredictability and the best at creating ideological conflicts. That is not the definition of pragmatism.
Immigration should be to our national benefit. It should not be used as a political strategy to juice the voter rolls or as a source of cheap labor to drive down American wages.
There is significant misinformation regarding non-citizen voting, with claims of widespread illegal voting being largely unfounded. Studies indicate that instances of non-citizens registering or voting is extremely rare.